of the fine and coarse aggregates. Thus, we will be able to compute the unit weight and voids of the aggregates by relating the data gathered from the experiment. By the way, why is it significant to conduct this test? As we know, although aggregates are most commonly known to be inert-filler in content, the different properties of the aggregates, especially the unit weight and voids, have a large impact on the strength, durability, workability, and economy of the content. Therefore, these properties allow the designers and contractors the most flexibility to meet their designs and construction requirements.
Now, let us see the step-by-step procedures for this test. Find the empty weight of the metal measure. Next, fill the metal measure with a dry sample that is 1/3 full of the volume of the measure. Then, rod the layer of aggregates with 25 strokes. Remember to not allow the rod to strike the bottom of the measure. Now, fill again the measure with a dry sample, this time 2/3 full level, and rod the layer of aggregate with 25 strokes. Fill the measure overflowing and rod with 25 strokes. Level the surface of the aggregate with a thumping rod such that any slight projection of the larger pieces of the coarse aggregate approximately balances the larger voids in the surface below the top of the measure. Finally, weigh the metal measure with the aggregate. Also, find the net weight of the aggregates. Now, let us see the step-by-step procedures for this test. First, prepare all the materials needed. These are the following: metal measure, glue sock, thumping rod, brush, coarse and fine aggregates, and weighing scale. The metal measures to be used for the fine and coarse aggregates must have different dimensions. For the fine aggregates, we will use the 4 by 8 inches, while for the coarse aggregates, we will use the 6 by 12 inches. The glue sock is where we will place all the materials while conducting the test. For the thumping rod, one end must be rounded. The brush, on the other hand, will be used for cleaning the metal measure. And lastly, for the coarse and fine aggregates, we will use the oven dry sample. The weighing scale to be used must have a capacity of more than 6 kilograms. Measure the diameter and the height of the metal measure. As mentioned earlier, there is already a standard dimension to be used, but we measure it again to make sure that it corresponds to its standard dimension. Check the condition of the metal measures. The lock must be complete and that it must be clean. Use a scoop to fill the metal measure with the coarse aggregates to 1/3 full of the volume of the metal measure. Then, rod the layer of aggregates with 25 strokes. Remember to not allow the rod to strike the bottom of the measure. We may exceed the 1/3 level with a small amount to allow more exact measurement after stroking with the rod. Now, fill again the measure with a dry sample, this time 2/3 full level, and rod the layer of aggregate with 25 strokes. Again, fill the measure until it overflows, and repeat the 25 strokes. Let us proceed to leveling the surface of the aggregate with a thumping rod such that any slight projection of the larger pieces of the coarse aggregate approximately balances the larger voids in the surface below the top of the measure. Remember that we can also use our hands to level the surface of the aggregates. calling of aggregates and for safety purposes. The procedures for the unit weight and voids of the fine aggregates will follow. The steps are the same with that of the coarse aggregates. Remember to use the smaller size of the metal measure for the fine aggregates. We can observe, fine aggregates is more workable than the coarse aggregates.